big change is in store for Thunder Bay's Waterfront Festival area. Good evening and thank you for joining us. The multi-million-dollar revamp is expected to kick off at the end of the summer.
The work will move the stage area and playground and improve accessibility. Vasilios Bellos is following the story. And Vasilios, will construction impact any of the events happening there this summer?
Well, Riley, despite affecting a large area, city officials say the work won't disrupt any of Thunder Bay's popular summer events at the waterfront. The $5 million renewal will actually increase the festival area's capacity while addressing noise concerns from some neighborhood residents. A significant redesign at one of the waterfront's busiest summertime areas.
Accommodate, greater performances, larger performances.
The multi-million-dollar renewal work on the festival area at Marina Park is expected to begin near the end of this summer, with the biggest change seeing the stage site moved north to where the play structure is now. That structure will be relocated next to the Tai Chi Park. Moving the stage is expected to increase capacity for events like Wake the Giant to 15,000 people. City landscape architect Guy Walter says the renewed area will create more event opportunities.
Still maintain a lot of that infrastructure for where the existing performance area is, so we can actually create 2 stage areas for multi-stage and event spaces. So this is a big added opportunity for a lot of the operators and the event planners.
With the stage now pointing towards the water, noise is expected to be less of a concern for area residents. Along with the stage move, the city is planning accessible washrooms and changes to the nearby parking to make it easier for larger vehicles like buses. Walter goes on to explain that this work complements the improvements happening across the waterfront.
The Pool 6 master plan, this site is very much connected. So each of these are seen as phase 2. They're working hand in hand. And really what it is to build out the whole unified kind of vision of the waterfront. And hopefully we'll see it all kind of complement each other through the future.
The price tag for the work is estimated at $5 million, with the city, province, and federal governments splitting costs 3 ways. The work's expected to wrap up next year, but won't disrupt any events this summer. Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
Local reaction continues to roll in after the 2024 federal budget was tabled on Tuesday.
The Trudeau government says its spending plan will help lift low-income people into the middle class without substantially increasing the deficit. But a local economist and a poverty reduction advocate both say there are reasons to be concerned. Opinions about whether the Trudeau government is spending too much or too little depend, as usual, on perspective.
They've ramped spending up on a fairly activist agenda.
It would have been great to see some plans that really put money into the pockets of Canadians.
Government officials insist that's what this budget will do.
We will unlock the door to the middle class for more Canadians.
It's really a focus on making sure that young people have the same opportunities to succeed as their parents.
It does include about $8.5 billion over 5 years for housing, but the Lakehead Social Planning Council's Bonnie Crisawati, who coordinates Thunder Bay's poverty reduction strategy, says there isn't enough to help people struggling right now. For example, she's skeptical a $1 billion school nutrition program will put money into the pockets of needy families, as the government claims.
Maybe that $800 a year is going into buying a more nutritionally appropriate food for the house for the year, so it's not really a savings of money.
When it comes to economics, it's a bit of a mixed bag, according to Lakehead University's Livio Di Matteo. On the one hand, the debt to GDP ratio isn't going up, it'll hold at around 40%.
So if you want to accept that as your fiscal anchor, I suppose you don't have to be too concerned. However, prior to the pandemic, the federal net debt to GDP ratio had gotten down to almost 30%.
And the interest costs on that debt are going up.
That does squeeze money out of other programs and spending. So, I mean, you're spending $60 billion by 2028 on servicing the debt. That could be spent on health or education or tax relief, etc.
The deficit will stay at just under $40 billion for the next couple years, despite added tax revenue from high-income Canadians.
The Ontario legislature has failed to reverse a ban on wearing the traditional Arab scarf, the keffiyeh, inside Queen's Park.
It's often worn as a sign of support for Palestinians. The decision comes despite all major party leaders calling on the House Speaker to reverse the ban. CTV's Siobhan Morris has the details.
You've probably spotted them more often on the street and in the crowd at pro-Palestinian demonstrations. But at the Ontario legislature, keffiyehs are banned for politicians, staff, and visitors. A call made by the Speaker, who sees them as political symbols.
I believe I'm following through on the traditions of the House and the established rulings that have been made by many speakers.
The decision condemned by the leaders of Ontario's four main political parties.
This is cultural attire. This is people identifying as part of a community, their heritage.
A scarf of significance to Muslim, Palestinian, and Arab communities. The Premier is among those asking the Speaker to reconsider.
We see the division right now that's going on. It's not healthy, and this would just divide the community even more.
An opposition motion for unanimous consent to allow keffiyehs failed.
Agreed? I heard some no's.
One of those voices, a progressive conservative at odds with the Premier. She says rules need to be followed.
Otherwise, we politicize the entire debate inside the legislature, and that's not what it's about. We use our words to persuade, not our items of clothing.
There are questions about how far this thinking could go.
How does it make that different from other religious symbols or other symbols that people do wear?
One province over, Quebec has doubled down on a law banning government authority figures from wearing religious symbols like headscarves, turbans, and crosses. Quebec is refreshing its use of the notwithstanding clause to insulate the law from court challenges. In Ontario's centre of government,
I wouldn't see anyone wearing a turban or hijab at the present time as being a political statement.
Opposition parties now want the Premier to draft a government motion that would allow keffiyehs at Queen's Park. It's not clear if that's something Doug Ford would entertain.
That was CTV's Siobhan Morris reporting. Well, continuing with provincial politics, Ontario's health minister is asking her federal counterpart to close a loophole that she says has led to more clinics charging for access to primary care. In a letter to Federal Health Minister Mark Holland, Sylvia Jones is calling for non-physicians to be blocked from charging for publicly funded health services. The Canada Health Act lays out what services are funded at the provincial level, but Jones says the Act isn't clear on what is or isn't allowed when it comes to services delivered by non-physicians, including nurse practitioners.
In Thunder Bay and around northwestern Ontario, the opioid crisis and rising overdose deaths have touched the lives of many.
Still, the stigma remains and resources are lacking. That's why a local filmmaker decided to create A Sobering Story, which premiered at Silver City Movie Theatre last night. Haley Perreault reports.
The local documentary called A Sobering Story was directed by Thunder Bay resident Ryan Levia, who also served as co-writer and co-producer. It started as a passion project to help get more supportive resources for those struggling with substance use at a time when tragedy and loss was much too frequent. That was back in 2021, but the issue has become more prevalent than ever and extends way beyond our region.
Although this is a local story, it's universal. The opioid and mental health epidemic is widespread. It's everywhere in the news. It's just that our story focuses on northwestern Ontario, but it's our hope that after people see it, word will spread and it will go wider.
The public premiere of the film was held on Wednesday evening, and the turnout for the two showings was a testament to our community's desire to listen, learn, and be moved by this topic. The lineup extended right out the door of the Silver City Movie Theatre and outside the building.
This is beyond our wildest dreams. I am confident in saying that the first show for sure is beyond sold out. So yeah, we did not expect this, but we look forward to hearing what people think of the movie because we made it for people to see and to learn from.
The documentary tells a universal story, but through the lens of northwestern Ontario. Over the course of production, Levia and his team conducted roughly 53 interviews and collected over 60 hours of footage that led to the final 97-minute production. Those who were involved found it to be a therapeutic experience.
This story means everything to me. It's my life story. It's what I've been through in my life, It's my story on addiction, the stigma that I've faced, and where my life is today.
The impact extends beyond the film itself, as they also have made a podcast so that those impacted by substance use can still have a platform to tell their stories in a safe and supportive space.
They really took the time to meet us as people and treated us with nothing but dignity and respect.
For information on the film, where the next screenings will be, and to find the podcast, you can go to asoberingstory.com. Haley Perot, TBT News.
A bridge building team from Lakehead University had a very impressive showing at a competition in Chicago earlier this month. The LU Steel Bridge team won several honors at the annual Western Great Lakes event hosted by the American Society of Civil Engineers. The 6-member team is made up of 3rd and 4th year civil engineering students. The challenge was to design and fabricate a 1/10 scale model low-rise bridge spanning 21 feet over an 8-foot river. The bridge was then tested under 2,500 pounds of weight to confirm its stability, strength, and stiffness. The LU team won 3 awards, including 1st place in lightness, 2nd place in aesthetics, and 3rd place in construction economy. They finished 4th overall among 16 competing universities.
A vintage vehicle valued at more than $40,000 is up for grabs after the Thunder Bay Museum launched its 2024 Classic Car Raffle. The popular fundraiser has been around for a decade now, and the latest grand prize is no step down from previous years. This gold-painted 1969 Pontiac Firebird comes with an automatic transmission and a 302 crate motor. The car was well preserved by previous owners over its lifetime and is in mint condition today. The Classic Car Raffle raises about $50,000 on average to help cover the museum's operating, capital, and programming expenses. Executive Director Scott Bradley says they've set a fundraising target of just over $85,000 this year. The draw date is September 6th. Bradley says there'll be plenty of opportunities for people to see the car and buy tickets over the next few months.
We're very excited to launch this year's raffle, and we hope everyone has an exciting time checking out the car when we've got it around town here in the coming months, and that they can check out those opportunities to buy tickets in person with cash. Those will start to be posted on our website here in the near future.
Tickets are 1 for $15, 3 for $40, 8 for $100, and 28 for $300. They can be found on the museum's website or in person during their showcase events around town throughout the summer.
Well, it certainly is a beautiful vehicle, no doubt. There will be a lot of people who want to get their hands on that.
For sure.
All right, let's turn our attention to the weather now. Fiona, what a difference it was today over what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, what a difference one day can make. Big changes today. We didn't have a whole lot happening. It seemed quite calm in the city of Thunder Bay and much of the region. Unfortunately, we do have another pocket of precipitation that's going to move in, and it's all part of the same one. The system that we saw yesterday is so large that we're getting a break before the next system or next portion of it moves through. But today in the city of Thunder Bay, we topped out with 14. That was after an overnight low of 1, and winds were from the southwest. Started out very light, just 10 kilometers per hour. But as that more active portion of the system begins to rotate around and move into the region again, winds have started to kick up, especially to the west. Now, Fort Frances has been overcast for most of the day. Temperatures really didn't move a whole lot. For most of the day, they ranged between 1 and 3 Celsius. Right now, they've jumped up to 5, but they've had some very strong winds push in. Remember, the system is rotating around like this, so the winds are coming in from the west, pushing in through Fort Frances and heading our way. So they've got 45K winds. To the north, well, Red Lake has some light rain. They had mist and fog for much of the night, and that gave way to rain earlier this morning, and they're currently at a high of 5. A little bit further east, temperature is rising to 6 in Armstrong and Upsala, 8 in Greenstone under cloudy conditions. Actually hit double digits with a high of 11. And a little bit further to the east and southeast, we've got Sault Ste. Marie sitting at a high of 9 at this time under mostly cloudy skies. A little cooler as you head into Wawa and Marathon, but Nipigon also enjoying 9 Celsius at this time. Now, here in the city of Thunder Bay tonight, we are once again going to stay above the freezing mark, a low of 1. And despite all of the periods of sunshine and partly sunny skies that we did see today, the clouds are going to start to increase. The winds will still be a little gusty this evening, but then they will taper off. However, that is just the calm before the system moves in for round 2. And that's where things could get a little bit dicey for the end of the work week. The good news is it should only last a day because the weekend's not looking too bad so far.
Okay, thanks a lot, Fiona. I'm going to focus on the positive. I'm done complaining about the weather for the time being. We'll see how long it lasts.
Let's see how long that lasts.
Yeah, we'll see. See if I can keep that up. All right, let's turn our attention to national news now. Thunder Bay drivers here saw the big price jump at the pumps yesterday. Well, that price jump is now more widespread, affecting Southern Ontario and Quebec. I'd say misery loves company, but I don't think there are many people, Riley, who are enjoying these prices. We'll have details on that and more when your Thursday News Hour continues after the break.
You wake up this morning and it's $1.80. You know, it's absolutely disgusting.